All right. Always look for the brighter side in everything that you do, because once you look for the brighter side, that's the light, and the light will have your inner joy flowing abundantly. We're the Inner Joy podcast. Join us today.
Welcome.
How y'all
Welcome.
doing?
Hola.
Today's topic is how the pandemic changed your view on life.
Mm.
And last week we talked about relocation in the mind, relocation in the physical. And this week we're talking about how the pandemic changed your view on life, and a lot of our pandemic little issues that happened basically caused us to relocate how we think and relocate where we live, or remain where we live, but relocate how we looked at where we live. So that's what we're talking about today. How did the pandemic change your life? Welcome. Let's hit
All
it.
right. Okay. So, what does life after lockdown look for you guys? How does it look? After we had to go into this lockdown mode, how did you deal with being in lockdown? And how does your
Hey,
life look after
hey,
lockdown?
back up, because
Yeah.
you're in the screen too much. Back up a little bit. There
Okay.
you
Okay. My bad, because I was
Let's hit it. Let's hit it. I'm
all
trying to be
right. So
all up in
so
here like that.
okay, so how does your life look after lockdown, ladies?
So, I'll go. So during the pandemic, when the pandemic started, I was living in New York, and the pandemic caused me to shift because for years I was trying to get out of New York. At least for 5 years, I was trying to get out of New York.
Hold on. My question is
And
why? Why?
I was just sick and tired of New York.
Okay. The
You
pace, the
know,
pace,
You
the
needed to
hustle,
change.
the
So
people.
I used to live in New York City, number one.
Okay.
So I got out of New York City and I was actually living in what they considered upstate New York. It's really not upstate. It's like
Yonkers.
midway. It's Middletown.
Okay.
So I was living in Middletown and I was trying to get out of Middletown. And at one point I started calling Middletown the Middle Passage because I felt like I could never get out. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I felt like I was trapped there, honestly. So when the pandemic hit, I had been thinking about different countries, and Bali was like number one on my list. And I mentioned it in the last episode. But Bali had restrictions. So I had to eliminate going to Bali. So my immediate getaway was New York. Excuse me, my immediate getaway was to Florida, but I also contemplated Atlanta because
Okay.
Atlanta was on my radar for years. And Atlanta was also wide open during the pandemic, truth be
They
told.
was they was outside.
Right. Because I went to a
Outside.
conference, right? Because I went to actually a conference, Earn Your Leisure, their first conference or
Okay.
podcast.
Okay.
The first thing they had it in Atlanta, so I actually went there, and yeah, we were no, we weren't social distancing. We
No,
were
y'all
not.
wasn't.
Right, we were wearing masks. To truth be told, we were wearing masks, but we weren't social distancing.
Yeah, I
But
wonder
Amen.
which was worse, Atlanta or Florida.
they were both wide open.
Okay.
They were both wide open. It's just that Atlanta had the black folks and Florida had the white folks. Let's just call it
Mhm.
what it is.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so number one, I knew I wasn't gonna work an in-person job again. Number two, it shifted because I was like now looking at living abroad, right? And number three, it gave me a different perspective on life because it allowed me to see that life is short, right? And so, that live your best life, that became my motto.
Mhm.
Okay. From the pandemic on, I had that mindset is that I have to live my best life. And when I adopted that mindset, that allowed me to then later, in a few years later, then move abroad. because I was like, I have to live my best life. I have to live in the moment and forget about thinking about for the future. So that's, and I'll
Be
add more
present.
later
Be
on. Right.
present. Be present.
Right.
Be present.
Exactly.
It helps to
Exactly.
be. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
Yes.
So,
that's kind of, go
go
ahead.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say that's kind of funny because I guess I've always been out of the box, and the longest I had held a job in the first 20 years of me being out there working for someone was the last job that I had. It was a little less than 3 years, and so I was the type of person that I always did what I wanted to do anyway. If it wasn't working, I'll switch and go someplace else, do something else. So the pandemic didn't change that for me,
Mhm.
because I was always wild and crazy like that to everybody else. People used to, my like older friends or family, you got another job already, or because it was just like that. And so when the pandemic hit, had already been self-employed for a long period of time, but it just made me go, and I had already knew I was going to move someplace because we had discussed that before about Puerto Rico and looking at Florida. I mean, looking at other places in Mexico, but it was like now, you know what I mean? It was like, yeah, it brought you to that now moment, you know what I
Right.
mean? Because there's one thing I can say: if I drop right now, I'm good because I have lived my life the way I wanted to. I haven't had all that structure here, there, and got to have this job.
Mhm.
I've always lived on a whim, gone and done what I wanted to do because I just had that free
Well, it
spirit.
makes sense, Lisa, that you live on the wind with your airiness.
Right.
That just came from me
You know?
at 17 when I left home and went to college. I didn't go to college to get an education. I went to college to get away from home.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which
And
Yeah.
most kids do.
my life has been about, I was in such restriction as a kid with a stepmother and cray cray that my thing was, I'm going to live my life on my own terms no matter what. So I've always done that.
So
And
life after the lockdown for you, right?
mhm,
Going into being this person that you are, what changed? What do you
nothing,
think? You don't think
nothing.
anything changed about you
I
after the
mean,
lockdown?
we were in DC metro area, and we were going to the store, and there's lines outside the store because they only let a certain amount of people in, and you got to wear a mask. And I'd be out there, I didn't have no mask on. I didn't have that. I've always been, like I said, the black sheep of the family. I've always been the one
But
that
I'm
went
talking
against
about
everything
after
everybody
lockdown.
else was doing.
After
But they
lockdown, Lisa.
say
After lockdown,
after the
right?
lockdown,
What
excuse
do
me,
you think
after
changed?
lockdown, not
You don't
much.
think you made any? You don't think you made any changes?
Not a whole lot. I mean, because I've always been that way.
Okay, so
That's the
okay.
crazy
Let me
part.
see. Let me tell you
Yeah,
what
let's
I
hear from
did.
you. Let's hear from you,
Let me tell you
Joy.
what I did. Let me tell you what I did after lockdown, right? So lockdown gave me time to reflect. It gave me time to be still. It gave me time to realize that I didn't need all this stuff. So I did a lot of cleaning up. I got rid of a lot of things, right? A lot of physical things, a
Let me
lot of
see.
emotional
I
things.
never had a lot of
Yep.
stuff, so you know what I mean.
So
There you
I'm
go.
just saying, because it was all in my garage. But anyways,
No, no, it's in your garage now. It's in your garage. Some stuff is in your
it ain't
garage
no
now.
nothing is in my garage now.
Yeah,
Like I yes,
yeah.
yes. So but I realized that, like you said, life is short. Why do I need to carry around all this stuff? I need to be light. I need to feel good. Everybody was excited to get back out. It wasn't an excitement for me. It was more of, I see what's going on, right? An awareness that took place for me to say, oh, okay, I know, prophecy told me that there would be this type of times, but know who you are. Stay true to who you are. If you're social, be social. I always, it was very difficult for me to adjust to the things that they had us doing, because like you said, we're free spirited people. And, but when I got out, I still was free spirited, but I was more aware.
Okay.
more aware of what was out there, what
Yeah.
could
I
happen,
mean,
what could be.
like I'm always looking at what's behind. You know what I mean? What's behind
You're
the
gonna turn into a pillar of salt. Keep looking behind.
no. I'm not saying behind like
Oh,
Meaning the motive, the
what's
motive.
what was the motive
oh,
for the
okay.
pandemic?
Right. Right. Let me tell you, the pandemic allowed a lot of people
To see.
to become woke. The veil was lifted. You got to see things for what they really were versus what you were uh, led to believe,
Believe.
right?
Exactly.
Yes. Yes.
And so I realized that there's people that don't give a F about nobody. It's all about themselves. It's all about their benefit. It's all about, even like things like wearing a mask. Something simple as wearing a mask. People were like, oh, I'm not wearing a mask. Why not?
I was probably one of those people.
I knew
Girl,
from
I
day
didn't want to
one.
sit there and
I
smell
knew
my
from
own
day
breath.
Right, but I knew from day one that this thing, the way how it was spreading, they were
Mm.
making us believe that it wasn't like an airborne or viral, whatever. I knew from day one it was. It had to be. The way how
Well,
it
I,
was
I don't even.
spreading.
I hear you on that. I hear you on that one. I don't know. I don't necessarily. I don't. There's a lot of stuff in the air. We know that. We know. We could tell. They'll even say the air quality is poor. They'll give you percentages and rating of what the air quality is that day, right?
Exactly.
They we we we
Exactly.
we we know that stuff is traveled through the air. They're controlling the water. So, even the water that we're putting on our largest organ, which is our skin, so I think a lot of times it was pushing it through the water. So
Yeah.
there's different ways that they're using
When
these
I
war tactics.
when I got sick in 2020, the day before Christmas, 2 days before Christmas. And I went out shopping because I was like, okay, I'm gonna be stuck in the house for a minute. And got enough food and stuff that thought I would need for that period of time. And then when I looked at the news and stuff, which I never do, but it seemed like so many people got sick right there that week of Christmas. It was like they sprayed something or something happened because everywhere I turned, everybody got sick that week. Everybody was sick. Everybody I talked to, it was so many people that had got sick that week. And I was like, well, was it in the water? Was it in the air? Was it what happened? It was just crazy
Yes.
how
Well,
it would be.
when you realize, when you know what a virus is, when you guys know what a virus is, you know how to protect yourself from viruses, right? You
No,
build
but
your immune
here,
system. You
no, but
get your you
here's
get
the
you
thing.
you get yourself strong, you get yourself healthy, right? So that that's what the pandemic really, after pandemic, really made me really focus on my health. Big time, big time, big time. Like, Joy,
Yeah.
your health belongs to you. It doesn't belong to these men. Yes, I know you swear by your oil of oregano. It is very good for your immune system. So I really,
Here's
life
the
after.
thing.
How did you become creative though? From that pandemic,
Well,
what
I
creativity
was
came out of it?
no, but I was already creative. And
Right?
what's funny was because of everything that was going on in the pandemic, I
Mm-hmm.
lost my creativity for a bit because it was
Mm-hmm.
just too much. It was just too much.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing how
Mm-hmm.
many, because remember what they were feeding you.
Mm.
If you tuned into
Information.
anything, all you had to hear hear how many deaths happened, today, and it was just the
Yeah,
stuff that they was
it was a lot of
so you
fear.
like
It was a
there
lot of
was a lot of
fear.
uncertainty.
And
Okay,
Uncertainty.
and
take some
then
Yes.
bleach. Take some bleach.
right, and then so for a few months, I was actually doing contact. I was a contact tracer, and I was talking
Mm.
to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, and
Okay.
I would hear like elderly people say, no one has been here. The only thing that I've had contact with, because there was no contact deliveries, the only thing
Mm-hmm.
that came to my house was an Amazon box, and now I have
Mm.
COVID. So what's going on? How are you getting COVID from an Amazon delivery? So that's how I knew what they were telling us was not the truth.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It
Exactly.
gave me so much insight. And I was like, you know what? Listen,
The
I gotta,
awareness, the
I gotta
awareness.
get the heck, I gotta get the heck out of Dodge.
I don't want to play this game.
Right,
Okay.
right.
I don't want to
Exactly.
play this game.
Right. I'm tapping out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. You know, it made for my creativity, it was a lot. It was a lot that went down during the pandemic. You had the killing of the guy with the neck, get off my neck. You know,
Right, George.
I came out with a nonprofit organization to create an app where the community pulls up on each other. You know, I went into really creativity mode, you know, during that time. You know, I had meat, you know, it was, and I became vegan, you know, I was on a plant-based journey. So my creativity in the kitchen just was, you know, amazing. You know, people were, social media was my friend. People were sharing things. I was appreciative of that. I didn't feel like I needed to be outside. You know, I did go outside because I wanted to get the sun. I went outside and walked the dog. You know, I didn't want to be with the mask. You know, I didn't want to mask it. I didn't want to put a cover over it. You know, we're designed to live here. We're designed to be here. I knew I could fight anything. I knew I could. You know, after the pandemic made me stronger, made me a stronger person.
Oh, it
You know,
definitely did that. It definitely did that. And the only thing I can say that I really did more is rested. I really did. I got in touch with nature. Where I live is almost in the country, and because there was not a lot of traffic, I had deers in my yard. I used to sit and talk to them in the window.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's what I did. You know what I mean? I went
you
to the
did,
beach
you did.
What's the
until
fairy
they
tale
until they
character?
closed the hotels down there, because there was a period where they closed the hotels. I went down to the beach, which I
What did you
always
create, Lisa? What did you create? Peace. You created peace for yourself, did you not?
always I went to the beach.
Right.
It
So
got me.
we are the creators of a lot of things. We come from the creator. And so we are able to create whatever life we want. Right?
I would look. I
And
would
I
go down to the
absolutely
beach and
did.
sit at the beach to stay at the beach
Exactly.
with my
Exactly.
ocean front room at the beach and just sit out there on the balcony all morning from the time day broke until the sun went across the building, and then I go back in and lay down. Okay, and I would be down there.
So
It would be cold. I would have my sweatpants on and a sweatshirt with a hoodie, and I'd roll everything up. I had my space heater so that I could still get heat. And sitting out there in the cold, it didn't even matter.
so
It did.
Lisa, are you the same Lisa from 2020? This is 2025.
Oh
Are
no, I'm
you the
always
same
evolving.
Lisa?
I'm always evolving.
Exactly. So talk about how you've evolved from
I, I,
2020 to 2025.
I packed up and moved. I shut my
Okay.
business down. I packed up and moved. That's basically it.
I know
And
that
what
was
was
very
the
difficult for Lisa
intention?
because Lisa had a very striving business. Lisa had a very striving business during that time, you know, and them not having social events, you know, not having them people changing after the pandemic, you know, not wanting to be outside, you know, not wanting to be around a bunch of people, you know. I know it affected probably business and that decision for
Well, it
her.
really
But
didn't because I
she had an online business that was off the chain. You did have an
yeah,
online business
I
that
I,
was off the
I
chain.
I
Yeah.
I just wasn't
Yeah.
out doing shows and stuff like that. But my online business was still the same, if
Mhm.
not even better, because people were
Mhm.
home, and they were ordering more because they were sending
Yes.
out checks and stuff for people, and they was
Yes.
spending money with me. And
Yes.
I
Yes.
did. I'm 21 years. I built a really good clientele. I still get calls. I still get
Because
strange
she got
people.
some of
That's
the best
funny.
products.
I still
Because
She
got
got some of
strange
the
so
people trying to find me on Facebook, being my friend to find out if they can get some shea butter. After 3 years of being closed, they still trying to find me. And
similar situation. Because when I moved to Florida, like my business in New York, I had to shut it down, and I still get calls to this day from
mhm,
that business. And they're like,
wow.
"Oh, I see your Google. How you see my Google page that I done closed down?" But anyway,
okay.
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
You never know. You never know how good you were in business until you start
right?
getting stalkers.
Exactly. That's like so when celebrities die. That's when their music do the best. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy. So what did we learn? What did we learn from the pandemic? What did we really learn?
How to live without fear,
And
right?
I had that already, but I
No, I don't think I had that. I'm gonna be honest. There's certain things that is influential. Fear was is very prevalent on this earth. There was things that was instilled in me in a fearful way,
yeah,
instead of in a loving way. Even from growing up, it wasn't. When I got and it was, don't do this, else this gonna happen. So it was never like, don't do this because of this reason. It was, don't do this because this is gonna. It was always a fear tactic.
because the world is fear based. You know what I mean? The world is
Yes, yes,
fear-based. Everything that we do is fear based. That's why there are laws. That's why there is religion. It's all fear based. It is. It's all fear based. It's to scare you straight to doing what they want you to do, not necessarily what's best for you, but how they want you to fall in line. School, that from K to 12, they're programming you. Everything is
yes,
programming.
yes,
Well, you
yes.
first get programmed by your parents, right?
Exactly.
So, because kids are usually fearless,
Yeah.
and you have
Everything is learned
parents that
behavior.
tell you, don't do this, stop doing that, this, that. So, you first starts with your parents who have been programmed, right?
Exactly.
So that's why they instill that in you. Then you go to school and they're now programming you. Then you go into the workforce and then they're programming you. Or if you go to a university, they're programming you. So the entire, every sort of system that you come in contact with, from the family system on up, is designed to program you, right?
Mhm.
And
And
designed to
so,
control you.
right,
Yeah,
right. And so the
yeah. And they
biggest
usually, and their
lesson,
tactic is usually fear.
right.
So
So one of the biggest lessons that I've learned, or what I've grown to understand, that there is no such thing as someday,
Exactly.
right?
mm,
It's today.
mm,
Someday is today.
Yeah, exactly.
mm,
Okay.
Exactly.
So
mm.
if you have that mindset as that anything that you're going to do, you're going to start today and not wait till, an indefinite, because we don't know what's going to happen even later on today. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So
Yes,
everything that you need to do, it starts right now.
Exactly.
yes,
It's funny because
yes.
when you say that about school, I remember as a kid in school, um, like today, I have one of my best friends. She can look at Jeopardy and she can answer probably 75, 80% of the questions. And I've been looking at her like, damn, you know all that? And it's funny because when we were in high school, I studied for a test. I don't remember the first thing about history or any of that stuff because I just didn't. It was a joke to me. I studied it for the test. If you asked me 5 minutes after the test, I couldn't tell you the answer that I gave you because I didn't retain any of that information because it's like I knew it was bull. You know what I mean? I knew that,
Mm,
like right now, and look what
mm,
they're doing right now. They're trying to change history in books. They're
mhm,
trying to
mhm,
take things out. And I knew that as a kid. It just didn't
mhm.
resonate with my spirit for me to hold in that information. I studied
Okay.
enough to pass my grade to get a C or a B and let it go. And sometimes it wasn't even C or B, but I just never retained any of that information. I've always been that way. I don't know if it's because, my mother dying when I was young and just me having abandonment issues or just, coming up and having to learn things and grow on my own to do certain things. But I've always been a free spirit and I've never been one to be a follower or, just like pledging or something like that. I could never stand in no line and let nobody talk in my face and crazy crap. I smack somebody back. You know what I'm saying? It's just
You played basketball, so I know you got a coach and yelled at you and all that type of stuff, right?
I was the best one on
Right.
the team. I was the best one on the team. I didn't have no problems like that. I just, you know what I mean? That's the one thing that I did. When my mother died, my father put a basket in the backyard and I started playing ball when I was 6 years old. And so, I mean, and my coach didn't like me, but she didn't have no choice.
Oh.
She didn't have no choice.
I wonder why.
The coach that liked me
Because
had a stroke.
people don't like people they can't control.
No, the coach that liked
Right?
me, she had a stroke. And then I had another coach that came in. She didn't like me. She liked the other folks. It none of that never mattered to me because I always knew who I
You knew you
was.
was good.
I always knew who I was. You know what I mean?
Good.
And the
Good.
truth, I hated playing with the girls because growing up, I played with my cousins. I played with the guys. And playing with the girls was a pain in the butt because they was always trying to grab the ball and hold on to the ball. It's like, if you don't get away from me, you know, with that little ticky tack stuff. You know what I mean?
So what are our
free spirit always?
right? So what are our takeaways for our audience today?
Live your best life. Live your best life every day. You know what I mean? Go out there and do what you want to do. You only go around one shot in this physical, one time in this current physical, once. Go out there and live your best life. Live it, because the bottom line is you don't get a second go round. And all the things that you keep putting off and saying you're going to do when you retire or when the kids get out the house or when today's the day. Get started.
Do it.
Right. That part of the retirement, the retirement strategy.
You have been programmed to work.
Right.
And then when you get so old that you can't enjoy it, that's when, you know what I mean, you supposed to.
Well, there's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with work. Okay.
No. I'm not saying that.
I'm going to say this. We've been programmed to work jobs that wasn't us, that wasn't natural to us, that wasn't a part of our gifts. So, but you know, when you look at Japanese people and you listen to them and their longevity, they have, you know, longevity because they work all their lives. They never get old. They're always constantly using their brains, right? Because you don't want to not do nothing without using your brain. You always want to continue to, you know, have some kind of arts and crafts.
Movement as well, too.
Yes, you know? yes. So my takeaway to the audience is learn who you are. Learn who you are.
At your core.
Learn who you are. Right? Learn who you are. Because you are something unique, special. You only got that fingerprint. You only got that embedment in you. You only got those codes put into you, and embrace who you are. And don't be afraid of who you are. And listen to your spirit. It was given to you. It was given to you.
For a reason.
Yeah.
My takeaway for the audience is follow your gut.
But clean it out first. Clean your gut out first before you be following. Don't be following no doo-doo. Don't be following no.
But whatever that whisper has been telling you to do it. Right.
And learn to recognize that.
Wait. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Whatever that whisper has been telling you to do it. Because the whisper gets louder, right? And if you still don't listen, it's going to have a detrimental effect on you to cause you to shift and go into whatever direction you're supposed to go in. So it starts off as positive, but then it becomes negative. Because especially if you're not following the path, following the path that has been laid out for you before you even arrived into this world, right? Something is going to cause you to shift, and it's usually something negative. So follow your gut. Your gut usually starts off as a whisper. Follow it, and that's where you find your inner joy.
It's funny you said that, because it's like people in religion. They're going out there living their life, they're doing it, and then all of a sudden, when hard times hit, then they want to get religious.
Yeah, usually jail or sick.
Well, you know, it's because we need protection at all times. We don't realize how protected we are.
We already are.
We came into this world protected,
right? Exactly. But those situations, fear has put us in a situation where we're looking for something outside of ourselves.
Exactly.
So everything is inside of you. All the joy exists inside of you.
Exactly.
You know, we appreciate you guys joining us today. Thank you so much. And every day. Check us out every day, not just once a day, all day long.
InnerJoy is abundance. It's abundance, and it's waiting for you. Grab it. It's right there. It's right there. And don't let anybody tell you any different. You came here to thrive, not to survive, but to thrive. Get yourself out of that negative mindset. Look for the light And like Joy said, clean your gut out, because all of that makes a difference on your clarity that you will
Right.
have.
Right.
And that's why we also have discussions about food, and what you put in is what you get out. And that's not just food, but it's also the people around you, it's the air you breathe, it's everything.
The
It's
company you keep.
everything. It is everything. Know who you
We're
are.
connected. We're connected.
Yeah. Look in
Make
the
sure you
mirror. Look in the mirror. Talk to yourself. What's in your core, and go live your best life every day. And enjoy
right.
life.
Peace.
See you next time.
All right now.
Thanks for stopping by.
Always.
Like and subscribe.